1 Samuel chapter 13. Hi, I'm Lydia, and I'm currently reading the entire Bible, chapter by chapter, day by day, until I get to the end of it. I started in James, and now I'm in 1 Samuel. I skipped a couple of books in the meantime, but all is well. I'll go back to them eventually. So, let's get into why you're here, which is 1 Samuel chapter 13. Samuel rebukes Saul. Saul was 30 years old when he became king, and he reigned over Israel 42 years. Saul chose 3,000 men from Israel. 2,000 were with him at Michmash, and in the hill country of Bethel, and 1,000 were with Jonathan at Gibeah in Benjamin. The rest of the men he sent back to their homes. Jonathan attacked the Philistine outpost at Gibeah, and the Philistines heard about it. Then Saul had the trumpet blown throughout the land and said, Let the Hebrews hear. So all Israel heard the news. Saul has attacked the Philistine outpost, and now Israel has become a stench to the Philistines. And the people were summoned to join Saul at Gilgal. The Philistines assembled to fight Israel, with 3,000 chariots, 6,000 charioteers, and soldiers as numerous as the sand on the seashore. They went up and camped at Michmash, east of Beth-aven. When the men of Israel saw that their situation was critical and that their army was hard-pressed, they hid in caves and thickets, among the rocks and in the pits and cisterns. Some Hebrews even crossed the Jordan to the land of Gad and Gilead. Saul remained at Gilgal, and all the troops with him were quaking with fear. He waited 7 days, the time set by Samuel. But Samuel did not come to Gilgal, and Saul's men began to scatter. So he said, Bring me the burnt offering and the fellowship offerings. And Saul offered up a burnt offering. Just as he finished making the offering, Samuel arrived, and Saul went out to greet him. What have you done? Asked Samuel. Saul replied, When I saw that the men were scattering, and that you did not come at the set time, and that the Philistines were assembling at Michmash, I thought, Now the Philistines will come down against me at Gilgal, and I have not sought the Lord's favour. So I felt compelled to offer the burnt offering. You acted foolishly, Samuel said. You have not kept the command the Lord your God gave you. If you had, he would have established your kingdom over Israel for all time. But now your kingdom will not endure. The Lord has sought out a man after his own heart, and appointed him leader of his people, because you have not kept the Lord's command. Then Samuel left Gilgal, and went up to Gibeah in Benjamin, and Saul counted the men who were with him. They numbered about 600. Israel without weapons. Saul and his son Jonathan and the men with them were staying in Gibeah in Benjamin, while the Philistines camped at Michmash. Raiding parties went out from the Philistine camp in 3 detachments. One turned toward Ophrah in the vicinity of Shual, another toward Beth-horon, and the third toward the borderland overlooking the valley of Zeboim, facing the desert. Not a blacksmith could be found in the whole land of Israel, because the Philistines had said, Otherwise the Hebrews will make swords or spears. So all Israel went down to the Philistines to have their plowshares, mattocks, axes, and sickles sharpened. The price was 2/3 of a shekel for sharpening plowshares and mattocks, and 1/3 of a shekel for sharpening forks and axes, and for repointing goods. So on the day of the battle, not a soldier with Saul and Jonathan had a sword or spear in his hand. Only Saul and his son Jonathan had them. Jonathan attacked the Philistines. Now a detachment of Philistines had gone out to the pass at Michmash. That's the start of a story for another day, the day probably still being today. Hi, thank you, amen. Thank you so much for joining me today and for reading the Bible with me and for pouring into your own relationship with God. Apologies for my stuffy nose. I pray that God blesses you abundantly today and tomorrow in case I do not post, but I do plan on posting tomorrow, so God willing, I'll see you then. Aside from that, if you'd like to watch these videos in a clearer order, you can do so by checking out my YouTube channel, which is linked in my TikTok bio. There are playlists in French, Spanish, and English dedicated to each book of the Bible which I've covered from James through to here in 1 Samuel, not including Deuteronomy and Numbers for the foreseeable future. Aside from that, God bless, and God willing, I will see you tomorrow or whenever I next post. Bye!